Good evening, Internet. This is CFS Eurovision here, and we have a busy video ahead of us, folks. Last week, I said that we would have an onslaught of countries, and that is what we have this week. 9 countries held national selection shows over the week of 23rd of February to 1st of March, including 7 finals, including one selection that was just the song, as the artist had already been chosen. Yikes. Also, the 1st of March was St. David's Day here in Wales, where we celebrate our patron saint. So that is why I have a Welsh flag here with me. I can't even get it in shot. But there we are. Let's not waste any more time. We start with the massive behemoth that is the Festival di Sanremo in Italy, a 5-night event hosted in Teatro Ariston in, well, Sanremo, mainly by Carlo Conti, but with help from Eurovision 2022 host Laura Pausini, and on night 1, Can Yaman, and night 2, Eurovision 2022 San Marino representative Achille Lauro. The system is stupidly complicated, so let me explain in as simple terms as I possibly can. On night 1, all 30, yes, 30 entries perform, and don't worry, we won't go through all 30, I'm not made of time nor energy. Anyway, night 1, they perform for the press jury, which is a mix of TV and online media. On nights 2 and 3, they're split into 2 groups of 15, and on those nights, they are ranked 50% by a radio jury and 50% televoting. Night 4 is cover night, where each act performs a cover song in a duet with either another act or a special guest. Last year's Eurovision representative Lucio Corsi performed Nel blu dipinto di blu, also known as Volare, with Topo Gigio, the mouse who gave Italy's 12 cheesy points to the United Kingdom last year. United Kingdom! These are then ranked by 33% radio jury, 33% press jury, and 34% televoting, although this does not have an impact on the overall winner. On night 5, all 30 acts perform their song one last time, and the 33% radio, 33% press, 34% televote combination votes once more. The results from nights 1, 2, 3, and 5 combined produce a top 5, which go through to the superfinal. The 33% radio, 33% press, and 34% televote system votes for a final time, which gives us our winner. The winner only has the option of going to Eurovision. They do not have to say yes. Sanremo is primarily a cultural festival and is bigger in Italy than Eurovision is. As such, voters don't necessarily have Eurovision in mind when casting their votes. With that out of the way, let me explain what I'm going to do here. We simply do not have the time in this video to go through all 30. We have 8 other countries to go through, and I want to limit us to as close to a similar length as the other videos as possible. So I'm going to give a few honourable mentions to mine and your favourites that didn't go to the super final. Then we will go through those that did go to the super final. I will also be paying attention to the top few of each night as we go along. Let's do this. The first honourable mention goes to J-Ax with Italia Starter Pack. You can probably tell already that this was the one that I chose personally for these mentions. It was good fun, and I think had Sanremo not been so jury-based, this would have done really well. Alas, it finished 15th. Next we have Bambole di Pezza with Resta con me, which means stay with me. I was expecting a lot more from the aesthetic premise of this. It slightly fell flat when it promised so much with the female rock stylings. You lot seem to like it though, giving it 4.8 stars on EurovisionWorld. Serena Brancale with Qui con me, here with me. This looks fairly popular according to the poll on EurovisionWorld, and it won the first night. The performances I watched were from the first night, and I can say for sure that this was a really good performance. but I didn't like the song. I felt it was bland. Fulminaci with Stupida Sfortuna, which means stupid misfortune. This was night one's runner-up, and I personally have no idea why. I put this somewhere in the middle of my ranking. I do hope the camera work improved because it looked very rushed, and his eyes were constantly switching between the outside and close-up cameras, which didn't seem particularly great to me. Nate with Prima Che, Before. A nice little rap song, One Night 2, he seems likeable. Can't really think of too much more to say. Luce with Labirinto, Maze. There's definitely an audience for this type of rap. I'm not it, and I'm not really sure the juries at Sanremo are either. Its 4th place on night 3 was probably driven by the televote. And lastly, in these honourable mentions, Eurovision 2018 representative Ermal Meta, without Fabrizio Moro this time, with Stella Stellina, Star, Little Star. It's a nice song, one of the better ballad-adjacent entries in this show. He's very obviously a great singer. I just think it fell down the order when some others were more spectacular. 4.7 stars on Eurovision World, but 8th place overall. So we come to the top 5, and in 5th place we had Fedez and Massini with Male Necessario, Necessary Evil. Some people were thinking they were a necessary evil because of how the Sanremo jury tends to be very male-biased, and so if this won and they went to Eurovision and did badly, it might cause the juries to think again. Alas, that was not the case, and the juries and televote came to their senses in the end. Song itself is okay, it's the voices I don't get. One of them was way off in the first half of night 1's performance, and then sounded like he had auto-tune on in the second half. Just a bit odd, really. 4th, Arissa with Magica Favola, which means magical tale. This one maybe falls victim to the language barrier for me, because I didn't particularly understand it. To me, it came across as just another ballad, whereas there was clearly an interesting backstory here that I missed. Luckily, the juries and televote were Italian, hey. This probably would have caused issues later on with it not being an accessible option for audiences. 3rd, Di Tonella Piaggia with Che Fastidio, which means how annoying. Annoying it very much was not. This was one of mine and your favourites of this show, and it's easy to see why. I saw a lot of love on social media as well, so I do wonder quite why the juries put it first, and it was the televote that dropped it this far. Very odd. 4.9 stars on Eurovision World, though. I have to say, I did love this one. I was grooving along with it throughout. 2nd, Safe with Tu mi piaci tanto, meaning I like you very much. Why, thank you. I didn't mind this song. It wasn't one of my favourites, but it was alright, a little ditty, not too shabby, and clearly enough people liked it for it to be here. 4.7 stars on Eurovision World as well, so well done. But the winner was Sal Da Vinci with Per Sempre Sì, meaning forever yes. I'm trying to work out from the face whether Sal is in his 20s or his 60s. He's a mystery wrapped in an enigma. After Googling him, it turns out he's 56, so there we are. The song is nice, not what I would have gone with, but it's not about me, it's about what Italy wants, and Italy wants Sal. Next, we have Serbia, which was Pesma za Evroviziju, a 3-show selection, 2 semi-finals and a final, all hosted in RTS Koštunjak, Studio 8, in Belgrade by legendary Eurovision spokesperson Dragana Kosciorina, Kristina Radenkovic, and in the green room, Stefan Popovic. All 3 shows were 50-50 jury televote. The semi-finals had 12 acts each, 7 went through to a 14-song final. The acts eliminated in the first semi-final were Igor with Klaber, which means clubber, Unadulterated Chaos, Unbridled Joy, Hopefully No Jeans Were Harmed in the Making of That Outfit. I don't know why the singing in this part had to be out of tune. I think the jury are evil for not letting this go through. Macau with Dynam Svet, which means Give Us the World. No. 2.5 stars on Eurovision World. It's a fun summer bop, but it's not helped by the fact that the singer never stood in the right place, nor did he hit a single note. Although I did like the obviously fake saxophone player. Manivi with Svaki Dan, which means every day. Typical Balkan ballad, her voice is amazing. Public were the ones that knocked it out, which is surprising as I thought the jury would give it enough to sail through. BELA with Trampolina, which means, well, if you can't work that one out, I'm not sure I can help you here. Three women who look like a cross between most right-wing depictions of trans rights activists and Rumi and perhaps Mira from K-pop Demon Hunters sing a rap/pop song about trampolines and bounce on trampolines. Honestly, not a bad song. And finally, it's impressively rare that the song last in the running order in the semi-final gets eliminated, and yet here we are. Dödica with Moma Mala, which means little girl. Balkan ballad number 462B. Has some interesting imagery with angel wings and someone from the Traitors, but the aesthetics don't raise a song that isn't very interesting. Moving on to the second semi-final, and the eliminated acts were Alexander with Sudbina, which means destiny. His Sudbina is not to make the final. An unnecessary answer to the question, what if Balkan ballad but male and with pop undertones? Milica Buraza with Svima Vama Treba Mama, which means y'all need a mum. We all do need that. It's Mother's Day coming up soon, 15th of March here in the UK, by the way, in case some of you needed a reminder. Anyway, this one is another dramatic Balkan ballad. Nothing much to say here. Next, Sanja Aleksic with Ko me proba, which means who tries me. Boring Balkan ballad, but on a table this time. Can you tell I was getting bored as I was writing this script? Avgust with Jabuka, which means apple. Thankfully, this was a rap song. It wasn't much better than the other three, but it was at least a different genre. And Alexandra Sekulic with Kule, which means towers. Yes, another Balkan ballad, but it was the best of the eliminated from this semi-final, I have to say. The staging in particular and the interaction between her and the male backing dancer was quite captivating and interesting to watch, so I can say that as a positive. Overall, I think either there was a gulf in quality and semi-final 1 was much better than semi-final 2, or they just made the wrong decision with who to eliminate in semi-final 1. So, let's do a results rundown of the final then, shall we? 14th, Mirna with Omaya, which means enchantment. It was more creepy than enchanting, to be honest, but I could see the artistry, maybe should have been slightly higher. 13th, Jack Lupino with Adrenaline. Again, I don't need to help you with that translation. It's rock adjacent, so I put it a lot higher than this, but I can see why it didn't land. There were other rock songs better than it in the show. 12th, Anna Masulovic with Zavoli Me, which means fall in love with me. No, I won't. It falls a bit short of the 3-minute mark, isn't particularly interesting either. 11th, Jemini, no, thankfully not them, with Metar Sreće, meaning a meter. I assume that's a typo and they mean a meter of happiness. It wasn't me that made that mistake, honest. I just felt it was a little low-key for an upbeat song. There are also random male backing vocals when the man in the act isn't actually singing. So that was slightly confusing and off-putting. 10th, Eva Gruyin with Odkryvam Sebe, which means I'm discovering myself. Good for her. It's got some quite dark undertones. It was, in my opinion, the best of the Balkan ballads in this show. It had my attention for a while at least, which sadly hasn't been the case for some of these. 9th, Luka with Veru, which means trust me. I don't. This did stand out as a little bit different from the rest, but it's still not a genre that's fully to my tastes. 8th, Cosmos Trip with Sveje Uredu, which means everything is fine. Insert that meme of everything being on fire here. This is more to my tastes. I put this a lot higher than what it actually got. There wasn't one better rock-adjacent song, which we'll get into, but this lot have stage presence, and it got them where they ended up, I think. 7th, Yanks with Strusio Si Sve, which means you destroyed everything. Yikes. I actually really like the staging for this, with the backing dancers being like stage managers for the show. There's a lot going on there. I think the negative is that it slightly distracts from the singer herself and what she's showing, but I did really like the scene setting and the storytelling of that staging. 6th, Lorez with Unseen. I'll be honest, this one was forgettable. The only thing that was interesting about this was the giant avatar that looked a bit like the AI chatbots of old that had faces. Remember the likes of Cleverbot Evie? Ugh, that takes me back. Doesn't exist anymore, I checked. That's how rigorous my research is for these videos. I even research my stupid random comparisons. 5th, Zona with Chairi, which means meadows. Ah, nice peaceful meadows. What's going on over there in this peaceful meadow? Oh, what looks like a satanic ritual. I think I'll get out of here. All jokes aside, this was interesting, not enough to captivate me into putting it particularly high in my ranking, but most importantly, you lot seem to like it by giving it 4.7 stars on Eurovision World. 4th, Brat Pelin with Fraulein, which is not Serbian and instead German for Miss. Now, look, the song itself is not good enough for this ranking. But the interaction between the singer and his backing dancers is more than enough. This was fun, it was entertaining. They managed to get 10 points and come second in the televote, despite being first in the running order. So they must have done something right. I certainly enjoyed it. Well done. 3rd, Harem Girls and Ivana with Bomb Bomb, which is complete nonsense. Interestingly, of all countries, to have one of the most popular acts be a group of drag queens and one non-drag queen, Serbia is probably among the last I'd think of. But here we are. I can see the appeal of this song, but it's not for me. 2nd, Zena with Yugoslavia. Again, you don't need me to translate, though I hope this isn't an attempt to re-establish Yugoslavia. We have enough of that with the Soviet Union at the moment, thank you very much. The song is good. Again, it's not my cup of tea. Others will enjoy it better, as evidenced by the fact that you lot have given it 4.7 stars on Eurovision World. But the winner was Lavina with Kraj Mene, meaning next to me, and a rare occasion where both the jury and the televote agree with me. I also had this as my winner. Well done me for predicting that one. This is the best rock-adjacent song in the contest. It's dramatic, the aesthetic is horrifyingly captivating. I knew as soon as I watched the performance that this was winning, it was that good. And maximum points of 24 to boot. Well done. Next we have our admittedly slightly displaced weekly visit to Lithuania, which will sadly be our last for the time being, as we have reached the grand final of Eurovizja.LT. Yes, this year's longest national selection has finally come to an end. And this final had the same hosts as the Heats, but this time instead of LRT Studios in Vilnius, it was hosted in the significantly larger Twinsbet Arena, still in Vilnius. 11 songs took part, 50-50 jury televote, etc, etc. We'll do a quick results rundown as we've already been through all of these songs in the Heats. 11th, Noi with Stand Up. Received 0 points, 2.5 stars on Eurovision World. I think looking at the music video for the final performance, the staging didn't really transfer to the larger stage, which caused problems here. 10th, Walls of Water with Unshakable. 1.9 stars on Eurovision World. You hate this for some reason. Oh yes, I've just remembered the weird voice. 9th, Paula with Sarko, Say. Another minimalist stage that looks off in a bigger arena. 8th, Rujla, Ikona Zemaita. Really interesting backstory, as I discussed in an earlier video. It's a great song, but I reiterate that I think it would have struggled if it had gotten any further than this. 7th, Lolita Zero with Salve in Meu Memdo. Welcome to my world, is the translation. This is the one that looks crazy and sounds crazy that we discussed last week. I just want to show this look again because nothing here would have needed to change had it gone to Eurovision. It was perfect the way it was. 6th, Atakin with Deganti Zemele, Burning Earth. I disapprove of the hate he got for the Russian controversy. Actions speak louder than words, and I think cutting ties in 2022 speaks volumes. You lot love this with 4.6 stars on Eurovision World. I'm not sure I'm that approving of it, but I certainly appreciate the artistry. 5th, Vilnius Voices with Grisham, We Will Come Back. This is the one that I really loved because of the unsynchronized repetition in the bridge. And I think on balance, this is my favourite of the selection, so I'm glad it got enough appreciation to finish top 5. 4th, Black Biceps with Let Me Cook. Pure, unadulterated chaos. Complete madness. Love it. Partially wish it won just to see what would have happened. Maybe one day, Black Biceps. 3rd, wildcard winner Nora Bleu. Yes, she's that high up. Wow. With Hold My Own. And wow, did she do that. Her and her ice bath almost conquered the whole of Lithuania from the wildcard round. Well done. 2nd, SHWR with Contact. You loved it with 4.6 stars on EurovisionWorld. I like it also. So close to winning. Just needed that extra push. It was a 22-22 tiebreak after all. But the song that got the public votes to win was Lion Sika. I think I now know how it's pronounced. With Solo Quiero Mas. Yes, Lithuania has sent a song partially in Spanish. This is what we love to see. Children of my generation in the UK will remember Robert the Robot from Justin's House. Well, here he is now. He's going to the Eurovision Song Contest 2026. It's quick interlude time just to say that I know you aren't subscribed. So I want you to subscribe. It's free and it helps me out the most with the algorithm as it will push my videos to more and more people. So if you're enjoying these videos, hit that subscribe button. Back to the video. Right, to the events that were just on the 28th of February 2026. We start with Melodi Grand Prix, the Norway version, which was hosted in Hakonshall in Lillehammer by Marta Stokstad, Marcus Neby and Ronny Brede Arce. The system is 40% international jury and 60% televote, just to make things a little bit different. There were 9 competing acts. Results rundown time. 9th, Silke with Forevermore, which received a brutal 0 from jury and 4 from televote. The only song to get single figures from both sides. Overall, it was an okay pop song, but her voice was a bit too weak for it. There were consistent high notes that were a constant struggle for her. 8th, Herame with Snapback. This is another pop song sung by a female. Most of the female acts are pop songs in this competition. Main differences are that this is easier to sing and that she could sing it. Still not standout though. 7th, Skrillex with Into the Wild. This one I didn't understand its low placement. It has a good beat, albeit simple, but the styling is interesting. Drag queen with woodland vibes. The shirtless men are out of place in my opinion, but overall a better song than its placement. 6th, Storm with Lullaby. Rock, as are most of the male acts, interestingly. This was the worst of the 3 rock or rock-adjacent acts, but it was well staged and well performed. 5th, Leonardo Amor with Prayer. I didn't like this one. It felt shouty, it felt overperformed. The song itself wasn't anything special. The public agreed with me, but the jury didn't, and that's why it's as high as 5th. 4th, Milo with Frankenstein. This was my favourite, another rock-adjacent. I preferred this one as it was a bit more catchy and staged differently, so it's not just plain concert vibes. 4.7 stars on EurovisionWorld say you like it as well. 3rd, Emma with Northern Lights. This is the sister of Marcus and Martinus, who represented Sweden in 2024. I think the song was meh, but I think this is a young woman. Emma is 17 years old. The boys are both 24. She's kind of figuring out her musical identity because she wasn't really a child star in the way that the boys were. I agree with the people who say if she comes back in a few years when she's finished experimenting and settles on a concept, she should do well. And this result will hopefully encourage her to do just that. 2nd, AlexanderRybak with Rise. Yes, the 2009 winner is back for some reason. I don't know why either. His music hasn't really advanced since we last saw him in 2018 with That's How You Write a Song, and the theme of the song Rise is nothing new either. See, he's risen because the song is called Rise. Get it? Ugh. Anyway, the winner was Jonas Love with Ya Ya Ya. It won both jury and televote. And I would have put it second, so negligible difference there. Rock concert vibes, song is vaguely in the realms of decent. This really wasn't a standout national final, I have to say. But yeah, good job and good luck, Jonas. We'll next do Bulgaria, who had already selected Dara. I've already done the comedian joke. What feels like forever ago on January 31st. On February 28th, they decided to hold an event in BNT Studio 1 in Sofia with Georgi Lyubinov and Boriana Gramatikova taking you through 3 potential songs for Dara, and then a jury ranked them, and so did the public. The public agreed with the jury entirely, so I'll go through the winner and nothing else to save time. The song is called Bangaranga, which is Jamaican patois for a riot. The rest of the song is in English. I will say they made it really easy to decide because this one is so much better than the other 2. This one is fun and upbeat. It is a bit pick a long word and run with it, but I like it. The other criticism I have is that the song I instantly thought of when I started listening to this one was Agnesa's Oh My My from Latvia's selection this year, which didn't make it through its own semi-finals, so that's not great. Anyway, good luck Bulgaria, I guess. Now we have our regular weekly visit to Sweden's Melodifestivalen. And this week was a pretty special week because it was the final heat and the final qualification round held in Gardehov Arena in Sundsvall. Let's go through what happened. The 3 eliminated acts were Juliet, in all caps, with Langt från alla andra. Apologies to all Swedes, including vegetables, which means far from everyone else. They weren't far from everyone else. In fact, quite the opposite, for reasons I'll explain later. The song is nice, party vibes. I had a good time watching and listening to it. Does it stand out? Probably not. But I'd have put it in the final qualification round myself. Blada with Who You Are. Not my favourite by any stretch of the imagination. I'd forgotten what it was like by the time I saw the results, and I had the benefit of watching it the day after, so I could skip all the intervals. Quality was super high that week, so I still can't say it wasn't good. And Wilhelm Buchhaus with Hearts Don't Lie. I won't lie either. I'm gutted for Wilhelm because this song is very much to my tastes and it so nearly got there. Here's an explanation as to how it didn't get there. The Melfest voting system is very strange with 2 voting rounds, one an overall vote number system and the other an age group system using the app. Those determine who goes to the final. However, they go back to total votes for the final qualification round place, meaning that, as in this instance, the act that came second in the age group point system may not make it to the final qualification place, and instead, as in this instance, the act in 4th with that system out of 5 did instead. That was Alexa with Tongue Tied, which I was obsessed with when I heard it, so I would have interestingly put it straight through alongside Wilhelm, which means the 2 that went straight to the final I would have eliminated. Oops. The age system put Sanna Nielsen with Waste Your Love through, by which I mean anyone over 30 put her through. The younger age groups didn't really care, giving her 8s instead. Maybe it's because she won Melfest all of 12 years ago with a song that had the first line of the chorus as Undo My Sad. I'm with my generation here, the younger ones. Sanna just didn't appeal to me on the night. It might have been the unfortunate aesthetic of roast turkey covered in foil in the oven on Christmas Day that put me off. It was February after all. The song that went straight through on total votes was the one I put last in the heat. Yay. Lila Alfaji with Delulu, which is what the youth of today apparently say instead of delusional. I'm 22, so that's apparently too old to say that. This song is chaos, so I'm okay with it going through. It just didn't appeal to me. He was trying too hard to put a funny voice on, and the music itself wasn't necessarily differing from the generic pop enough for me to endorse the chaos. We move to Finland next for what is fast becoming the best national final any country has. Uuden Musiikin Kilpailu, hosted at the Nokia Arena in Tampere by Sami Siko, Jorma Uotinen and Jasmin Beloed. Apologies to all Finns for the pronunciations here. Finland, like Norway, is very weird and for some reason wants to give the public more power. So they have a 75% televote, 25% international jury system. 7 acts competed. So it's results rundown time again. 7th, Kiki with Rakkaudenkipe, which means lovesick. The song isn't that great, but the staging is magnificent. For a song about the breakup of a relationship and missing that person, needing them there, this staging is genius. You have the confetti in the wind machine being used to emulate rubble from a collapsed building. It's very clever, and you've rewarded it as well as the song, with 4.8 stars on EurovisionWorld. 6th, Etta with $1 Million Smile. This is another one where the staging outperforms the song for me. It's about how when she was younger, her mother taught her that laughter is the best medicine and the power of a smile. And so she has this projection of her younger self that appears and disappears from time to time. It's a wonderful spectacle, however, the song isn't quite as good as the staging concept. 5th, Sinikka Monte with Ready to Leave. This one is quite dramatic, the line, "You can't hurt me in a way that matters." The staging is dramatic, though quite destructive. I mean, that's a perfectly good coffee table that could have been bought and used after the show, and now you've just destroyed it. But all jokes aside, a good song with good staging, but others are even better. 4th, Chachi with Cherry Cake. I loved this, I can't lie. It's fun and a little bit nostalgic, reminiscent of Cher Lloyd's Swagger Jagger from like 2012, but brought into today's musical era. 3rd, Komjat with Lululai. Bit reminiscent of Kai from Sweden last year, but still definitively its own thing. Love the wooden stage, excellent craftsmanship on display in more ways than one. 2nd, Antti Palonen with Takatuka, which means mullet. This one was my favourite because the word Takatuka makes it so catchy. This has been stuck in my head ever since I listened to it. And now I'll play the riff, and it will be stuck in yours too. But it was beaten by a song I'm still happy won, Linda Lampenius and Pete Parkkonen with Liikenhaiten, which means flamethrower. There are a lot of flames, it's dramatic, but above all, it's ready to go to Eurovision. It's an extremely impressive package, and you've rewarded it all with 4.6 stars on EurovisionWorld. Next, we're off to Germany for Das Deutsche Finale. That's the German final, for those wondering. 'Twas hosted in the rather obviously low-budget Studio Berlin Adlershof by the icon that is Barbara Schöneberger and Eurovision 2025 host Hazel Brugger. 9 acts competed and a 20-member international jury selected the top 3, and then the public would decide the winner. I hate this format. Why should the jury decide the top 3? It's just a waste of viewers' time, and then to do that and wonder why you don't get many public votes in the main contest. It's just plain stupid. Anyway, rant over. The 6 that were eliminated before the public could get a chance to vote for them were BELA with Herz, which means heart. Takes place in a specifically German bus stop. Nice to see the German language represented in their own national final as well. Bit generic, but no more than others in this show. Dream Boys the band with Genie, 2.5 stars on EurovisionWorld. Dull, boring, forgettable. Next. Mile with AOK. Again, nice, but generic. There really is not much that can be said about many of these songs at all. Ragazzi with Ciao Ragazzi. The most interesting one because it's a so-called joke entry. But in Germany, it would seem even the joke entries are of a low standard for their genre. Laura Nahr with Wonderland. Little bit fresher. Staging could have been improved from just the hypnotic background, but certainly a little better than some of the generic stuff we've been served in this show. And Malu Lovis with When I'm With You. 2.5 stars on Eurovision World. It's okay. It's a bit like the kind of thing that's big in the UK at the moment. The likes of Olivia Dean and Ray, among others. Unfortunately, what that means is it has an audience, but I'm not a part of it. So, the top 3 went to the superfinal, and interestingly, they were the last 3 in the running order, as if the jury had some sort of memory loss. They were the last 3 in the running order, as if the jury had some sort of memory loss. Get it? I said it twice as a memory loss joke. Anyway, here they are. Third place was Molly Sue with Optimist, Ha Ha Ha, which was some sort of depressive episode by the looks of it, because she talked about always wearing a smile on her face, and ha ha ha, I'm alright, while not smiling once, and the song was really quite dark. You seem to rather concerningly respond well to it, with 4.6 stars on Eurovision World. Is everyone okay out there? Please get the help if you're struggling. Second was Wavy Boy with Black Glitter. This one was very confused rock, if I'm honest. The voice was clearly made for rock, but it felt like 1 minute it was trying to do high screeches, and the next it was trying to be low and raspy. And the connections between the two were very little. It was my favourite, but I was desperately hoping something better would come along after it, and alas, it didn't. You lot enjoyed it though and gave it 4.6 stars on Eurovision World. But the winner was Sarah Engels with Fire. Generic pop gets a points deduction from me for rhyming fire with liar. Ooh, look, the staging. There's flames because it's called Fire. Yeah, this one isn't getting very far. I'm sorry, Germany, but you chose wrong. We finish, yes, finish, we're finally there, with the semi-final 2 of Portugal's Festival da Canção, where our second batch of 8 songs competed through the world's weirdest national final semis voting system in order to maybe possibly get to the final. For a refresher, the 8 acts perform and then a 50-50 jury televote system selects 4 finalists. The remaining 4 go through another round of voting, televote only this time, and that selects one last final qualifier. Let's go through the 3 acts that were eliminated in the semi-final, starting with Francisco Fontes with Copiloto. And again, you can probably already translate that one. This is one that I would have put through, though my tastes are very different to those of the Portuguese people. I find this a nice indie option. Francisco himself is the only credited songwriter on this track. It's just a good alternative song. I appreciate that I'm in the minority when I say I like it, though. Inês Souza with filme ao contrário, which means a movie in reverse. This is another rare case where the final act in the running order gets eliminated. I didn't particularly like this one, I have to say. It doesn't really go anywhere for me. I respect that there's an audience for this one, but it ain't me, and by the looks of it, it isn't the Festival da Canção audience either. And Jacareu and Ana Margarida with Opinião. I'm not ashamed to say this was my favourite of the entire selection, but again, my tastes differ to the Portuguese audience, perhaps more than any other. With a revamp, this could have been a strong contender for one of my favourite songs of any national final, but alas, it was not. I can see why it didn't get through. The quality level is a little low, but I personally like it. The final qualifier through the 100% televote round was Gonçalo Gomes with Doce Ilusão, which means Sweet Illusion. This was actually my second favourite in the semi-final, which I thought outperformed the other semi-final quite consistently, but maybe, again, that's just my tastes. I can feel a lot of this performance and a lot of this song, and that's in part due to the emotion with which he carries himself in the performance. I don't speak Portuguese, I speak a bit of French and have a GCSE A star in Spanish, but Portuguese has always been the one I have trouble with, and yet I feel like I understand what he's going through in the story of this song. Let's finally go through the 4 songs that made it through the 50-50 round. Silvana Perez with Nautem Fim, meaning it has no end. A bit like how this video is starting to feel. I do agree with this going through. She delivers it well, and the meaning from the translation of the lyrics is very clear. I didn't quite feel that all the way through like I did with Gonçalo, but it was good. Sandrino with Disposto a Tudo, meaning willing to do anything. Looking at the translation, the song is about influencer culture and being willing to do anything to get followers and the like. The tone of the song is happy-go-lucky in that way, which makes a lot of sense. Bandidos do Cante with Rosa, this week's one Portuguese act that wants to go to Eurovision. How lucky they are that both got through to the final, huh? In contrast to Andrea Amaro, I didn't particularly like this one. It didn't really register with me, unfortunately. I do appreciate the effort that was made, and absolutely appreciate that there's an audience for this out there, but again, that audience is not me. And finally, João Ribeiro with Canção do Querer, which means Song of the Desire. And in some ways it was a Song of the Desire of the Portuguese because it went through to the final. It's fairly religious in its nature, and I'm not big on that, but I can see the talent. Again, it's one of those where I'm not the desired target audience for it, and I can't speak too much for its merits. So, that is finally it. An exhaustive roundup of everything that happened in a period of 7 days that led up to the turn of the month. This is the last of the real super weekends, where loads of national finals coincide, so next week will be a shorter video, and there will be fewer songs to go through. With that in mind, I hope to see you next week, but for this week, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.